Hey everyone, this is George Couros. Welcome back to another episode of the Innovator's Mindset podcast. And I wanted to share process that I'm going through currently. My latest book, Forward Together, Moving Schools from Conflict to Community During Contentious Times, is due out in January of 2026. And as you go through the editing process, the editor will suggest certain things, but also there is a process where you articulate with the designer some ideas for what you want the cover to look like. And I have been known to go with a more modern look. If you were to design a house for me, I would say make it look like the Apple Store. I really like modern, clean, simple. That's something that really matters to me. So that was one of the ideas. But I also talked through ChatGPT and said, hey, I'm thinking about a bridge, a divide, and people coming together over top of that bridge. So it kind of gave me an idea, and I sent that to the designer. And so what I received back was three options. And one was a very modern one. One was similar to the idea that I kind of shared at ChatGPT with obviously a designer touch, and then another modern one. And I will be honest with you, I was very drawn to the modern version of the cover. But I w- I'm really big on the connecting with community and getting feedback and asking for help. And for years, I've been writing on my blog, and comments or ideas and pushback, even some challenges, make me think differently about maybe how I approach something. And I think that's really, really beneficial. The way I see social media to this day, and maybe I'm kind of archaic in this sense, is I really want to use it as a place to learn. And I think that, of course, I want people to learn about my work, this podcast, things like that. But really, it is a space for me to grow. And I also look at it as a diary I'm leaving my kids. How do I interact with people? What do I learn from people? How do I, share myself and, some of the positives and the struggles that I go through as well? Because I think there's so many lessons that I can leave to my own kids as I go forward. So I actually decided to take the covers that were being shared and share them with my email list. And so I write a newsletter every week, and I post on Saturday. And I thought, this would be a really good opportunity to, see what people think about this. Now, that being said, I kind of decided what I was going to go with. Like, I knew what I wanted, right? I knew what I wanted. And so I was like kind of throwing the feedback out, but I thought it was just going to be confirmed that I was right. That's what I thought was going to happen, right? But if I'm asking for their feedback, I'm open to what it is, and I want to hear what they say, what they think. And I thought about the process. What would be the easiest way to kind of get their feedback, culminate it, and share? So I was going to create this Google form and ask for feedback, share an image, and say, which one do you like most? Why? That's an optional choice. I get all that feedback, look at it, and whatever. But I actually decided to not go that route. And I did something that was maybe a little bit different. Instead of saying, hey, fill in this form, I just said, if you have feedback, email me back directly. Now, I'm telling you, I wasn't expecting this. I have just finished responding to over 500 responses to this. And some people just shared which one they like better. Some people shared their thoughts combined with their thoughts leveraging AI and giving me feedback through that. I literally just before I did this, I received someone feedback that was incredible, who was a graphic designer for 30 plus years before they went into teaching. I had people drawing versions of what it could look like. And the audience that shared their insights was incredible. And I will tell you that what I had decided has now changed. And I'm not going to confirm with you which one I've picked. I'm going to save that because I'm still working on it. But what I thought going in totally changed because of the feedback and that willingness to learn. I would say that I was pretty much 90% sure what I was going to pick. And that 10% is just switched. So if you were to bet before, I would have picked it. You'd have been wrong. You'd have lost some money, and at big odds too. And what is interesting is what I didn't realize through the process. And here's something I want to kind of touch on first. When you get feedback, I don't know if people would have responded as easily to a form, like if I would have got more results, but it was just way more personal. And people, I responded to every single person that I saw their email. Some of them, and if I didn't, if you're listening to this and you're like, you didn't respond to mine, it hit my spam because I responded to every single person. And I didn't get AI to do it. It wasn't generic response. I read every single person's response, what they did. And it felt really cool. It felt really personal. And it reminded me of like when I first got on social media, probably in 2009, when I really started using it, these connections that you're making. And people weren't just sharing their thoughts on that. They're sharing their excitement for the book. Some of them were sharing personal stories about work that I've done, some of the personal things that they're going through. It was really interesting. And it showed me that we are so focused on saving time using this technology that we sometimes save time and lose connection. Where I really think this is something that kind of woke me up to how do we leverage this technology, not to replace face-to-face interaction, but to make it better, to really connect on a human level. We always talk about this, like, oh, like I've been talking about this forever. But then you see people like, hey, post this on Instagram and respond here and I'll send you a DM. No one's sending you a DM. It's AI that's sending you a DM. It's like an automated response and it's not real. And it's like, yeah, you're getting a response from a bot, an account. I read every one of these too. And it meant a lot that people took their time to respond to me, that I want to respond to each one of them because it's a big deal to me. And as I said, it changed my mind that they're thinking, because I didn't just say, tell me which one you like. I asked them, tell me which one you like and why. Give me the reasoning behind it. And that's what pushed me. And one of the things that I talk about in the book, and the book is separated into what I call principles. Those are the big ideas and perspectives that when you maybe are like struggling with some of the principles, what are the perspectives to kind of help center you or recenter you when you're struggling? And I talk about this idea of convince me. We often have an idea in our head and we try to share with others why they need to embrace the way that we think, the thing that we want, as opposed to listening and giving them the opportunity to realistically convince you of a different pathway. And that's like the whole premise of the book, that how do we bring people together? And sometimes the best way to bring people together is not by convincing them of your point, but listening to theirs and being open to it. And this is a portion of the book, and it's, I'm not going to say it's exactly how it's going to be written because there is an editing process and I'm super wordy. I know this about me. So they're going to tighten it up through the process. And that's why you have an editor, because they will make whatever you share better. But this is the unedited version because I didn't even realize I'm doing what I talked about in the book. And I'm proud of that because I live what I say. And I said, this is what I share in the book. The language we use to help people see new possibilities is paramount in creating the change we want to see. But as much as what we say and how we say it matter, sometimes saying nothing is the best way to bring people together. Too often in my career, I've spent my time and energy trying to convince people of ways they can move forward and why it matters so much. I would think of every angle and argument that would prove my point and would be extremely frustrated that no matter what I said, whoever I was talking to seemed to stay exactly where they were when I started, or even move backward to prove a point. A sentiment I often share with others is that in leadership, our role is to help people move from their point A to their point B. I still believe this, but how you do that if you have no idea what their point A is when you begin? That starts with listening, and not just listening, but listening with the intent to learn and also understanding that you can move forward. And that's what happens right now. I put this out, and even though I was kind of solid in what I believed, I wouldn't ask if I wasn't open to suggestions. And I don't want to say arguments because no one was arguing with me, but the perspectives that people were sharing made me shift my thinking. And I just think I wanted to share that with you because I didn't realize how much of this little process that we might seem meaningless had on me, not only on our willingness to really be open to pushback, to change, to rethinking what we thought in the first place, but how we use this technology, not necessarily to save time, but to build connection. That's what I really got from it. And it shifted a lot for me. And I'll tell you, I said this, I was thinking about it. I've already written the acknowledgments, but I'm going to tell you one of the biggest acknowledgments that's going to be in my book is to the community that helped me, figure out a better pathway forward. And I will tell you this, not everyone's going to agree with what I ultimately chose, but I know that the majority of people, even though they may not agree with my choice, because not every single person picked the cover that I'm going with, but I know that so many people are going to be appreciated that I asked the question in the first place and I was willing to change my mind. And I think that's what really matters, is that when we ask that question, we say we're open to feedback. Do we actually do something with the feedback that we hear? It was just something I picked up through this process. It was really kind of an amazing experience for me. I want to share with you all. I hope you got something out of this, because I know I did. So maybe I'm being selfish by sharing this with you, but thanks so much for listening to the podcast. And for anyone who's listening who also contributed their thoughts to the cover, thank you so much, because you actually made me think a lot different. And I think the book's going to be better because of you. So thanks for all you do. Have a wonderful day. Take care.